Summer is almost here, so I'm going to revisit one of my favorite cakes. I mean, I have to make a confession. It's also a cake that I wish I could change. There's one thing about this cake that really bothers me.
I know what it is.
Why don't you write it on a piece of paper and I'll see if you're correct. I want to know if you guys can guess what it is. You guessed what it was, right?
I did. I wrote it.
Okay, don't tell them. For this Giant Rocket Popsicle cake, I baked 3 huge rectangular cakes. It's the biggest cake pan I have, 12 by 18. I really wanted to make it big and over the top. Level them, remove the caramelization from the bottom and the sides. In one of them, I folded in red sprinkles. In another batch, I folded in blue sprinkles, and the final batch I left plain. So I wanted the inside of the cake kind of to resemble or give a nod to the outside of the cake, because you have like the red, the white, and the blue. One thing about this cake is I overloaded the batter with sprinkles, and the cake felt actually kind of like really sticky because of all the extra sugar inside, but I love the way it looked. So I'm cutting 3 evenly along the length of the pan, so that way I can stack up the 3 rectangles. Why do I always do this when there's footage? And I end up with 9 layers of cake. But watching this, to remind myself, you know what I thought? I should have also dyed the simple syrup. Think about when you eat a popsicle, it's like always melting and it's kind of, so I think I should have dyed the simple syrup red for the red part and blue for the blue part. And then I'm going to fill and stack these cakes as 3 individual cakes with Italian meringue buttercream. Okay, so all the blue layers. As long as I'm not having like a Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction, I'm okay. So.
Why is there 5 million views on this revisit?
Yeah, so weird. Why is everyone into popsicles? You know what? I've started thinking that I want to re-cake another type of popsicle. So guys, tell me what your favorite popsicle is. Helena is voting strong for creamsicle. She loves it so much she wants to smell like a creamsicle. Okay, so now I have 3 individual rectangular cakes. What I'm going to do is sandwich them together on a board so they're side by side in order of color. And now I get to start carving this giant watermelon.
Watermelon?
Did I just say that?
Why did you say watermelon?
Because Walter has been haunting me. That's why. Now I get to start carving this giant popsicle. Walter has been in my dreams because he knows about these revisits.
Oh,
and he's like, how dare you? But why would we've revisited him on several occasions, I feel.
Yeah.
Why you're doing all these cake cooterie boards and you're not dedicating one to me? How come you forgot about your first book and everything's about your second book? With a rocket popsicle, there's that top bit that's a little more tapered. I wish I had one. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. And as I carve away excess cake, red cake in particular, I build up the top of the popsicle because it's a little longer on top than the white and the blue section. So the shape of the popsicle is really simple, but then there are all these grooves and indents in the popsicle that are all even, so I need to recreate that. And then I had to carve out these grooves with a serrated knife on an angle. So I'm carving into the cake like this. I'm carving sort of long valleys that are pristine and evenly spaced apart. Once I'm happy with the shape of the popsicle, you guessed it, I'm going to crumb coat the entire popsicle. It's really important here because I don't want the crumbs of the blue or the red cake to bleed onto the vanilla cake. So we're gonna crumb coat the whole cake and chill. Once the crumb coat is chilled, I'm going to ice the cake. Okay, so now it's time for fondant. Woohoo! So I need 3 colors of fondant: white, red, and blue. Without even looking, I'm gonna guess that I covered the white part first, because my general rule for fondant is always roll out your white first and then go from lightest to darkest. I did red first, but listen, in 2023, I'm telling you, roll out your white fondant first and cover that middle part of the popsicle first. But we'll start with red, drape it on top, and then smooth it. Now, normally a fondant smoother really helps you, but because of the ridges, you have to make sure that the fondant fits down into those ridges. So your hands are gonna be very useful with a cake like this. smooth the fondant all around. Tuck the excess in down around the base of the cake and then trim away any excess. And then what you want to do is keep in mind those marks that are on the board and trim the fondant according to those lines so that the red fondant is only covering the red cake. When you're trimming fondant, if you're doing this and it's hot, I know we're talking about summer coming, you can chill the cake at this point before you trim, because when fondant gets soft, it can sort of pull and drag, and you want this to stay very crisp. Next is the white fondant. Oh my God, I did white last. Maybe I did that on purpose. Yeah. Yeah, I did on purpose. I'll tell you why. Now we're gonna move on to the blue fondant. We're gonna make sure to measure, re-measure, because this part of the popsicle is a bit thicker. So measure, roll out your blue. You also wanna make sure that you're rolling all three colors of fondant to the same thickness. Otherwise you'll be able to see that on top, that it's not even. Trim away the excess and trim a nice sharp line along the top and around the sides of the popsicle. Now both ends of your popsicle are covered, but the middle, which is white, is not covered. And now I realize why I didn't do white first. It's because white fondant laying on red or blue is not going to stain either one of those colors. Whereas if you put the white first and then you drape over your red and your blue, even in the short time that that fondant is laying on top while you smooth it, it can stain the white.
So are you changing your statement?
I'm changing my statement.
So the past you was right.
The past me was right.
Apologize to the past you.
I'm sorry, past Yolanda. Sorry. I'm sorry. So I won't doubt you anymore. So now it wouldn't be a popsicle if it didn't have a stick, obviously. It'd be really hard to eat popsicles without a stick.
With a knife and a fork.
Imagine. I went to my local craft store, and where they sell dowels, wooden dowels, they also sell wooden, I don't know what they're called. They're just like flat, long pieces of wood. Cut a little opening, a little sort of slit. Pull it out, and then you're gonna gently put the stick. I branded the stick HTCI. Remember, I went through a phase of like branding. Do you remember that? And let me know if you know what I should have done with this popsicle cake. Okay, go. Tell me.
I think you would make it shiny with like piping gel or something.
Is
that it? Yeah.
I should have made it shiny. I should have diluted piping gel with some food grade alcohol and painted the whole cake. Now, that sounds simple, but if you're gonna do this on your popsicle cake, which I know you're going to make, you can't just brush that piping gel from top to bottom, because the piping gel will also absorb the color and then the white part won't stay white. So you need to paint it in sections. Paint the middle white part first, this time I am correct, and then I would paint the red part, and then I would still like clean the brush and paint the blue part. Okay, so yeah, leave me your popsicle suggestions. Let me know. Bye, guys.